Salute, salute. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades. I hope you're doing well. Oh my goodness. All right. Today, as you see the topic, how Kenya can liberate itself from this irredeemably corrupt politicians, from the political class that have been ruled by the colonialists, okay? So many things happening so far. Last night, I had Ibrahim Traore. There was a coup d'etat that was attempted on him. If you guys remember, Ibrahim Traore, it was the guy who he's the guy who took over, as the leader of Burkina Faso. He brought in he led the revolution. Not revolution, but coup d'etat, and he is the current leader or president. The citizens actually came out and defended him, to fight off the attempted coup d'etat to take him out. Okay, remember this guy has been helped by the Wagner group, the Russian military, the Russian mercenary group. But today we want to focus on how Kenya can liberate itself from this irredeemably corrupt political class that are being controlled by the West. Okay, how can Kenyans do that? Let's explore some things. But before I go to that, I want to mention something. I want to address this issue that I see it's kind of brewing right now. It's about this commission, this bipartisan commission, the talks of auditing the elections that happened in 2022. I've been singing this, I've been shouting this from the rooftops, telling people that, hey, Brother Benson, I see you there. Hey, hi, long time no see. It's been a while. Nice to see you. By the way, let me just highlight this, Brother Benson, because this guy has a wonderful channel. Please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, go to Brother Benson Media channel. He has wonderful interviews and perspective on politics, Kenyan politics, and the upcoming youth politicians who are looking to make change in the community. So please go subscribe to Brother Benson Media, and of course, subscribe to Kenya Revolutionary. But yes, for those who are in X, for those who are watching me at YouTube, I see I have like 5 people getting in the X. Yes, how are you doing, people? Anyway, I just wanted to address this issue about Chebukati, because I saw Martha Karua today or yesterday, I think, she responded to the failure of Chebukati's letter. Chebukati wrote a letter explaining why he will not attend that committee to testify under that committee. And the letter was very telling. I read it myself. I think it made perfect sense. In a nutshell, what Chebukati was saying was, this issue had been settled in the Supreme Court. So for him to go testify before this committee, that will be like undermining constitutionally appointed arm of government that's supposed to deal with this issue. Okay, so this committee, if they try to do this audit, who are they doing this audit as? Who are they representing? Remember, this committee does not have the sovereign authority of the people. It's a bipartisan committee. It's 2 parties, coalition parties, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, who came in and say, hey, this is the issues that we want to tackle in order to smoothen our relationship. So they cannot come around and say, hey, let's audit these elections because we feel like something happened here. That was the role of the Supreme Court. That's the whole purpose of why Azimio went and put in a petition at the Supreme Court, because at that time, Azimio believed that, the organ that's supposed to take care of this issue was the Supreme Court. That's where you deal with your disputes, okay? Legal disputes. You go take care of it at the Supreme Court. So if you had your evidence, that's the place where you have to address that. Okay? You don't go form a committee and say, hey, listen, I have some evidence that you guys stole the election. here it is. Then no, you had the chance. You have 7 days from the election, the day IEBC, which should be independent, where IEBC announces who won the election. Now, if you feel that the IEBC was skewed, or they were lying, or they're up to something funny, you present your evidence, gather your evidence. You have 7 days to do this as per the Constitution. You present it at the Supreme Court. You show the courts and tell them, hey, this is what. Now, to be fair to the Azimio folks, they're saying that they got the extra evidence. They had more evidence after the Supreme Court ruled. Okay, but too bad, because that's the same thing in 2013, if you remember, when Raila was running against Uhuru Kenyatta. Okay, he lost by a technicality. He had evidence, but he did not file those evidence on time. So the Supreme Court did not, Mutunga said, hey, listen, you did not petition this on time, so I'm sorry, Uhuru is the president, okay? In 2017, it was a different case, okay? 2017, it was more of a popular revolution, okay? It was not the courts, okay, that decided it. Actually, let me back up. In 2017, you remember, let's review the 2017 before I get to 2022, okay? In 2017, Maraga ruled that the election that had taken place was null and void because there was a lot of evidence that suggested that the process of which Uhuru Kenyatta was declared president was not transparent. There was no transparency. There was enough evidence to suggest that the elections was rigged in 2017. So what happened? We all know what happened, okay? We had to have another elections. But remember, Maraga before recommended something. He said that before the next election happened, the IEBC was supposed to be reconstituted. Okay? There was some raft of changes that was to happen before a re-election had to occur. Let's not forget that. Okay? Let me sip my coffee. This coffee is really good today. Okay? Part of it was the IEBC. Okay, of course, the court cannot tell IEBC what to do, but that's why Maraga wrote down the recommendations. Okay, and he said the IEBC had to be restructured. So anyway, IEBC did what they did. Actually, the funny thing is the IEBC, members of the IEBC, Chebukati, led by Chebukati, went and met Uhuru Kenyatta in the White House, no, at the State House, sorry. Met Uhuru Kenyatta at the State House, which is very funny. Okay? If you have a competitor, IEBC, they're supposed to be independent. It's like I'm running against you as a candidate, presidential candidate, and the referee is coming to my house to visit me. For those Barcelona fans, you heard Barcelona is being charged for, paying off, bribing referees. But anyway, that's besides the point. But anyway, that's how outrageous this thing was. Chebukati and the team went and met president at the time, the legitimate president, Uhuru Kenyatta, at the State House. And then they announced that they'll have the re-election on the 26th, which was Uhuru Kenyatta's birthday, as if he was being given a birthday gift. We all remember Raila absconded, chose not to be a contestant in that re-election because the recommendation by the Supreme Court judge, Maraga and the gang, were not met, okay? But Uhuru Kenyatta did not care. He actually sent his goons and shot Justice Mwita's bodyguard dead. And the Supreme Court was intimidated, and their lives was in danger. And they were forced, they went on. IEBC went on and carried out a coronation in the 26th of October 2017 on Uhuru Kenyatta's birthday, and they declared him Uhuru ran by himself. Remember, Raila absconded, decided not to run, and urged his supporters, which was 80% of the country, not to run. Even in Rift Valley, people did not went to vote that day because Raila said, hey, we are not participating in this election because the changes have not been done. Anyway, Uhuru Kenyatta then went ahead and declared himself president, okay? And after he did, the Azimio side that were now being, not Azimio, sorry, it was the ODM side, NASA, if you want to call them that, at the time, were heavily being influenced by the by this NRM being led by Miguna, who then started doing some stuff. They started boycotting the companies that were supporting the regime, that were trying to legitimize the illegitimate presidency of Uhuru Kenyatta. Okay, and people took to the streets, and they decided that they would swear in Raila Odinga as the president, the people's president. And if you remember, Raila Odinga was sworn in as the people's president. Then fast forward, Raila turned his back on the people who swore him in and his supporters, and he went ahead and shook hands of Uhuru Kenyatta. Okay, so 2022, he loses the election. We know what happened. He waits 5 months and starts his shenanigans again with the Maandamano. And he formed a commission, bipartisan commission, that was led by George Murugara and Otiendo Molo on the Azimio side. The talks failed. He went back to a 3-day Maandamano where people died. And this guy never paid anybody, never even paid homage to his supporters who died in Nyalenda, who were killed. The government didn't do the same, okay? So after that, here we are, another commission. It's always a commission being formed, a bullshit commission that are claiming that they need 106 million Kenyan shillings, taxpayers' money, for them to sit around and draft a raft of nonsensical proposal to benefit themselves and not the benefit of all Kenyans. But anyway, these colonial stooges, these lobotomized parrots, now are at Bomas, asking Chebukati and the IEBC to come and testify before the commission. This commission has no power. Like I say, they don't have the sovereign authority of the people. Okay? It's who elected Kalonzo Musyoka? Who does Kalonzo Musyoka represent? He only represents the Azimio faction. He does not represent any constituency. And even so, okay, Ichungwa and his big machungwa-shaped head, an empty head, an imbecile, okay, a non-lobotomized parrot on the Kenya Kwanza side. These idiots meet up at the Bomas Center and make a draft of proposal asking Chebukati to come testify. Of course, Chebukati does not need to go there and testify because he has no reason to. Like, who are you? You guys are bipartisan. If this is the silly thing, if you want to know, these guys are joking around and they're playing around with Kenyans. Okay, Article 35 of the Constitution, if I'm not wrong, it gives you power to request for information from a government, okay, a governmental institution. Let's say, for example, the IEBC. If you want to ascertain the truth as to who won the elections, all you have to do is go there, and you are allowed, as per the Constitution, ask for the forms 34C or 34A, whatever the case is, that have the presidential results. Ask them, because by law, those forms are supposed to be restored for 3 years, okay, as per law. Okay, so you go there, ask for those forms, and then go through them, see if they are forms that are legitimate. Are they things that are cooked up or not? Okay, you don't need the servers, but in case you do, go ahead and do that. Okay, but the problem is, if your sole reason of trying to ascertain the truth is for the purpose to determine who won the election, that matter has been ruled on by the highest court of the land, which is the Supreme Court. Okay? Before you go to the courts, Azimio, listen to me, you dunderheads, you have to have your evidence ready. You don't go there without evidence, then after the case has been ruled on, then come up and say, oh yeah, you know what, I have evidence now, I just gathered some new evidence. Let's check on, let's go through this new evidence that we just gathered. No, it does not work that way. Okay, it does not work that way, especially in this case. I know Sifuna was trying to make an example of the double jeopardy, law that is applicable in the United States, where if, let's say, if you are convicted of a crime and additional evidence is found, you can be freed, depending on what that evidence has, points at. Okay, I know Sifuna was trying to make that case, but in Kenya it's different. Okay, that's a different case. This is a presidential election. Okay, that's why the Constitution, the Kenyan Constitution, is very, very clear. It gives you 7 days to put in a petition and come up with evidence that will show the courts and the country, because the courts, the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land, has the Supreme Court authority of the people. We donated this power to the Supreme Court to adjudicate on that matter. We did not give our sovereign authority to the bipartisan committee that is asking Sifuna to go testify. That's why I'm saying this bipartisan committee has no legal standing. They cannot subpoena anyone to show up in that committee and testify. They cannot. And not only that, Sifuna also, Chebukati also wrote that, why can't this commission actually go ahead and seek justice for those IBC agencies that were kidnapped and killed? Where is the justice in that? That's why I keep on saying this is a sham. This is a joke that these elites, political elites, irredeemably corrupt, lobotomized parrots like Kimani Chungwa, Kalonzo Musyoka, who needs to be hanged to death. Okay, this is a joke that these people are playing with us. If you see, Raila Odinga doesn't even care anymore. Probably has been paid already. He doesn't care about these things anymore. Okay, Ruto is busy looting, okay, from the government. Okay, they're both looting, Raila Odinga and President Ruto. They're not helping Kenyans. That's what I'm saying. For Kenyans need to look for solutions within themselves, from the people. The people have to look at themselves. Stop looking at these so-called leaders. Let's not have this hard mentality that we're depending on our tribal chiefs to liberate us. We need to get out of that mentality, this mentality of depending on these tribal chiefs. These so-called tribal chiefs, and if you're wondering who they are, it is the same idiots that we see every electioneering year: the William Rutos, the Uhuru Kenyatas, the Raila Odingas, the Wamalwas, the Kalonzo Musyoka, the Karuas. These useful idiots who work for the Western puppets, okay? These people will not liberate you. They will rob you to death with their taxes, okay? With their shenanigans, as you can see in the bipartisan commission, okay? Why should election, seriously, if you were to take a poll today, what's the most important thing in Kenya today? Is it not the cost of living? Why are we still wasting time trying to trying to find out who won the election in 2022. A matter, it's been a year now. We still want to open the server, wasting everyone's time plus the taxpayers' money, trying to find out who won the election a year ago. Do you think, okay, let's use hypothetical right here. Let's hypothetically speaking, okay? And I want to ask the Azimio people, okay? My Azimio friends. I want you to ask yourself this realistically, because this is how I want to expose how nonsensical this whole process is. Suppose an election, an audit happens of the IEBC servers, whatever, because they're claiming that you know, Camargo and Ruto and all this silliness that they keep on coming up with every day. Suppose you go in there, audit those servers, and find out that Raila Odinga won. Suppose you do that, okay? He won. Okay? Do you honestly think that Ruto will step down and let Raila Odinga become the president? Do you? A year later, do you think Ruto will say, oh, you know what? Okay, you guys found out the truth. Now I lost the election. It's been a year later. I'm sorry, I've been the president, a legitimate president for a year. Raila Odinga, please take over. I'm sorry, I was a bit. Do you think so? After all this stuff that Raila has been doing, I mean, Ruto has been doing, the places he has been going to, the speeches he has been giving to overseas and locally. Do you think he's going to give up that and give it to Raila Odinga? You know, that's why I say if there's this channel that I usually sometimes bump into, and I see a lot of there are a lot of stupid people out there that still think that they can't, people refuse to reason. But what I've realized is most of these people who come on the internet and these channels, these famous channels, these live streaming channels, one led by a pastor, these people are hired by the Azimio side to perpetuate this myth that Raila will always have the answer. You know, and I keep on demystifying this. Ask yourself, a guy who has ran 5 times for presidency and hasn't won, and every time he always goes to the streets and ends up shaking hands with whoever stole the election from him. Isn't it your time? Can't you ask yourself, why is this guy always making deal with the government? Don't you think it's madness? But you still go up there in a live streaming channel and tell us that Raila, if Raila was the president, the cost of living will be low. We will be doing a better job. Guess who's Raila's deputy? Martha Karua. Martha Karua, the most corrupt woman in Kenyan history. Okay? Martha Karua was paid by the British Tobacco Company 10 years ago. Paid a bribe. These are the people who you are trying to tell me that are going to bring change. I keep on telling you, both Azimio and Ruto, these guys are in one party. They're in one party. They make deals amongst themselves and they cause all these schisms, difference between people, whether it's tribal difference, whether it's, well, there's no ideological difference because Kenya, we don't vote due to ideology, okay? We just vote because of tribe, okay? My tribe is in coalition with your tribe, so I'll vote for the candidate that they decided to put forward, okay? We don't care about ideology. There's no ideology. Tell me what's the ideology of Azimio or Kenya Kwanza, okay? That's what I'm telling you. This is a sham. Everyone in that bipartisan committee should be hanged to death. We should not let these people leave because they are playing a game. It's a game. It's a con game. That's why they sat down and wanted to talk about this nonsense. All these people are rotten to the core. Governors, MCAs, members of parliament, the president, his deputy, the Supreme Court, everyone is corrupt. That's why you see their pushing on the Western agenda on Africans in Kenya. The LGBT nonsense, the GMOs, the high taxes. I've been telling you, these taxes are things that have been approved. The IMF basically are running our economy. David D has no job. He has to just sit there and rubber stamp anything that the IMF approves. Nothing is done in the interest of Kenyans. But instead of looking for solution within, realizing that these people that we call leaders, these people that we have elected, have all been compromised. They're corrupt. Instead of realizing that and coming up with a solution, we are still fighting over, oh, we are Azimio, Azimio this, Azimio that, Ruto this, Ruto that, Kenya Kwanza this, Kenya Kwanza that, people of Mount Kenya, people of Mulembe Nation, people of Nyanza, people of the coast. See how parochial we are, small-mindedness. You can't think of outside the box. Everyone thinks, okay, it's our turn to eat. They are not real leaders. Like I said, Raila's position as the main guy in the opposition is to suppress real revolutionaries, real opposition. That's why he is happy to stay in the opposition, because he gets paid to suppress anyone that comes up with real solution. I gave you an example of 2017, the reason why Miguna, of all the leaders, the leader of an NRM, Kenya, was the only one who was forcefully removed from the country because he was the real opposition. He was the real engine that forced Raila Odinga to be sworn in as the people's president. And the next step was to forcefully remove Uhuru Kenyatta, because that's why I keep on telling you, Raila's role is to suppress real opposition. That's why we cannot have real opposition. Instead of opposing what Ruto is doing, we want to negotiate with them and come up with silly proposal that will not help real people on the ground. Until we realize that, we shall keep on bickering over stupid stuff. Oh, Ruto is stealing here. Ruto is wearing an expensive watch. Ruto is doing this. Tears to my eyes. We can't wait to 2027, 2020. Raila the 6th, Raila the Nas, Babu Owino the next. I don't know, Sakaja what? Nonsense. Bull crap. Okiya Omtata, go look at his page. He's talking about the debt and is mentioning how the treasury is not truly independent. These are the things that we need to look at. We are being taxed because we are told that we owe a lot of money to the IMF. If we owe money to the IMF, why can't we audit the debt and not the elections of last year? Ruto won. What has he done for us in a year? What has Ruto accomplished in a year? What has Ruto accomplished in a year? Ask yourself that. He is continuing with where Uhuru Kenyatta left. Uhuru Kenyatta and his family has been working for the British government since independence. That's why they've maintained the trillions of shillings, Kenyan shillings, that they've looted from Kenyans. They've maintained that power. The land and the IDPs that have caused in Kenya. No one wants to talk about that. Where's the working report? Where's the Ndungu report? Okay? Why can't we look at that? We don't look at that. We don't want to look at the underlying, the real problems that are the reason why people are suffering today. Changing a leader is not the problem, is not the issue, is not the solution. Ruto can drop dead today and you can put Raila Odinga tomorrow. And Raila Odinga will do the same nonsense that Ruto is doing now, if not worse. The coffee is kicking in. So what is the solution? What is the solution? Okay? What I'm trying to tell you guys, instead of sitting there, okay, whining and mourning, talking about Twendeni Mandamano, Baba tusaidie, Baba, that's what gets me. The solution is not Baba. Raila is 157 years old. He should be hanged to death. Uhuru Kenyatta should be hanged to death. Ruto should be hanged to death. All these people are corrupt. They're not the solution. They will not be solution. The young people who are supposed to rise up and come up with fresh ideas like the Babu Owinos are just as corrupt. Sakaja and this other clown, Babu Owino, are corrupt. Okay? Don't be fooled. Don't think that Babu Owino, when he becomes the governor of Nairobi, you'll see any change. This is the same coin of different sides. I don't care, and I know Babu Owino follows me. Hear me this. Babu Owino should be serving time right now. He should be serving time in Kodiaga prison for attempted murder, among other charges. But Babu Owino, being corrupt, he probably paid one of the judges to let him off. Probably uses one of his godfathers, if it's not Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, or somebody, to talk to the judges. We had the case of Laniola, I don't know, Lanola, the judge that was paid by Cholet millions of dollars. I won't be surprised if that story is true. That's what I keep on saying. The problem does not stop with Ruto. The problem is deeper than Ruto. It starts at independence. It starts with Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And it came down to Moi regime and all his cronies at the time for 24 years. And it went on under Kibaki. I'm not buying the foolishness of some people who are saying we had the best economy under Kibaki. What better economy? You forgot that Tour brothers, Lucy Kibaki slapping people around in the newspaper conferences. Huh? You forgot that? Then came the dreadful Uhuru Kenyatta, the son of Jomo, the most corrupt, useless, who needs to be hanged to death. Uhuru should be the first one to be hanged. The worst president in the history of humanity. Follow that with this Ruto, another corrupt. Ruto has been corrupt before he was president. Why are we surprised that he's corrupt now? And some of you in the Azimio were eating with him. Now you're pretending because you're playing these games of yin and yang. We have to have opposition. You have to appear as if you're really opposing anybody. Where are the true revolutionaries? Revolutionary Rasta movement. Restoration of African sovereignty to Africans. Where is it? Wajakoya is a clown. We know that. He's not a Rasta. Wajakoya worked for Moi. He was working for the intelligence community with Moi. Working along with the British government. Don't be fooled with Wajakoya, pretending to be to be for the Wananchi. Trying to lure the young people by talking about ganja. Shame on you. We should go back and look at the Kriegler report, the Waki report, the Ndungwe report. Let's solve the historical injustice. Let's audit our debt, not the elections. Our debt, how much do we owe? I see Githu Muigai, whatever his name is, the useless attorney that worked under Uhuru Kenyatta. And Professor Omenya put it very well and say that these guys like Githu Muigai, they know the truth, but they never said anything when they were in power. Now that he's out of the power, he wants to speak the truth, saying that we don't need all those MPs, we don't need all those MCAs, we don't need all those people in the Senate. I agree wholeheartedly. But Githu Muigai, you never say nothing when Uhuru Kenyatta was drunk, waking up drunk, killing Luos in Kisumu and dumping them in Yala River. You never say nothing. You are the Attorney General. Okay? You never said anything. Useless guy. These are the people that we need to start hanging. We need to hang these people. They gave them with guys. He shouldn't even be talking among people. But again, I say, we keep on recycling the same irredeemably corrupt politicians. No real revolutionaries. Okay? Raila and Uhuru, their job, the millions that they've stolen from Kenyans, they use it to prop up fake leaders who worship them. Fake bloggers to worship them. Talk about Baba this, Baba that, Baba this, Baba that. To perpetuate this nonsense, this idea that there's an opposition. There's no opposition in Kenya. There's one class that is stepping and sitting on the rest of us. The political elites, the colonial puppets, the lobotomized parrots. Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga are pretending to be against Ruto. They're one. They're one of the same. They're in the same group. These guys are friends. They're not enemies. Don't be fooled. If Ruto was really wanted to help Kenya, let him go for these families that have stolen money from Kenyans. Let him go and open the Waki report. Follow the recommendations of Ndungu report. Follow the recommendations of the Kriegler report. Let EACC do the real job. Go for the big guns. Them whores. The Kenyatta family, the land that has been stolen. The Moi family, the land that has been stolen, the money that has been stolen, the Biwott family. The Odinga family. Go after them, then I'll believe you that you're fighting corruption. But these people are the same. That's why you see them sitting in that committee, pretending to be seeking solutions to help the real wananchi, where they ask for 160 million to sit in an air-conditioned room, sipping wine and mandazi every morning, talking about nonsense, only to come up and tell you, oh, we should now form a new office of the official opposition for Raila Odinga to massage his testicles while we pay him for doing nothing. These are the leaders, the so-called leaders. They're not leaders, they're conmen. Kenyans should stop looking at these people who you call leaders. They're not leaders. Say, look, the solution has to come within, and we have to have real demand. Instead, listen to me, Kenyans. This is how you shall liberate yourself. This is what the Rasta movement is all about. The revolution. Start demanding for historical injustice to be prosecuted. The real people who stole land, like the Kenyatta family, Let's start fighting real corruption. Let's start looking at how much we owe. Let's start auditing this government. Let's start strengthening our institutions. Let's start hanging the people who stole this money. These are the things that the local wananchi should demand if you want the cost of living to go down. I have 20 minutes left. I have 20 minutes left. Hopefully somebody out there, a brave man, a brave woman who really wants to see change. You have to understand this. If you want change, there's some sacrifice that you have to make as a nation, as a people, as an individual. Because confronting these people who have stolen money, they will not be happy for you to make them uncomfortable. These are uncomfortable truths that they're not ready to face. But we have to face them. Logging in, blogging every day, talking about what Ruto did wrong or what he's doing wrong is not going to help anyone. Logging in or blogging about how Raila Odinga, how great he is, how he helped us achieve multi-party democracy is not going to help us. Logging in and blogging and streaming every day, talking about how the people who voted for Ruto are now suffering is not a solution. Logging in and streaming and talking about your frustration at sound candid every day, blabbing, waffling around the same thing every day, talking about nonsensical issues will not bring a solution. These people should be grouped together. The Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, anybody that wears that tag, an MP or an MCA or a governor. You saw Governor Nanok was audited and millions were found to be missing. Same with Governor Orengo of Siaya. 100 million was missing. We've known that. His deputy told us about this. I'm urging people to think outside the box. The solution comes within. The solution is not to ostracize one community against the other. These guys are playing us. There's no opposition in Kenya as we speak. You have to realize that. If you can't realize that, you'll never understand it. They are protecting their interest by dividing you, by organizing this mandamano and using useful idiots like mine and Jenga to kill innocent people. Remember, Azimio folks, listen to me very carefully. The same mine and Jenga that you're hailing as being targeted by Uhuru Kenyatta government, this same mine and Jenga was the very person that was paid by Uhuru Kenyatta in 2007 to kill Luos in Naivasha. He summoned Mungiki to join the police forces to kill Luos in Kisumu. This is the same mine and Jenga that now you want to convince me that is a revolutionary, that is fighting for the interests of the people. What kind of pretense is this? Martha Karua, the same woman who took bribe from the British Tobacco Company, is the same woman who you want to convince me that will fight corruption. Raila Odinga, the same conman who shook hands with the murderous son of Jomo Kenyatta and told us that he will bring Miguna back, never turned for the people who he asked to go protest for his lost presidency. The youth that were killed in Kisumu. Raila Odinga never went to Nyalenda and held a vigil in Nyalenda to commemorate the loss of the kids, the young folks who believes in him, who were killed, brutalized, maimed, jailed in his name. Raila never went to Kisumu to hold a vigil for those people, the Luo community. He instead shook hands with Uhuru, the very person who was ordering the killings of youth, Baby Pendo, Baby Mora, Msando. Shook hands with him and went to Karen and to pretend that he cared about the people who died. These are the people who you are looking at, thinking that they shall bring change in our country. These conmen, these murderous people, these devil-worshipping conmen, colonial stooges, lobotomized parrots. These are the people who you were looking at, thinking that they shall bring revolution to Kenya. The Babu Owino, who goes to a club and shoots a DJ on camera and never does a day in jail, never sees a day in jail. But he's the person who you believe should be the next governor of Nairobi. The Sakaja, the incompetent, corrupt Sakaja. William Ruto, who is suspected of killing Jacob Juma, who've been grabbing land, it's been known, who we see is pushing on, carrying out the wishes of the West in Kenya. These are the people who you are looking at to liberate Kenya. You're still calling them leaders instead of calling them for who they are. Conmen. Kalonzo Musyoka, the most useless politician in history of mankind, who's now sitting at Bomas Center with Kimani Machungwa, talking about forming an official position of the opposition, enjoying 106 million of taxpayers' money. These are the people who you are looking at to find solutions to Kenyan problem. The very people who have caused the problem. And you look at us who are claiming for their blood, for them, injustices that they've caused in Kenya, the money they've stolen, the people they've killed. You look at us as crazy when we say these people should be brought to justice, held to account. Open up your eyes, Kenyan. Open up your eyes. Smell the coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, this is Kenyan Revolutionary. I will leave you with this. I will leave you with this. I will leave you with this. In order to have a real revolution, sacrifice has to be made. And unfortunately, sometimes blood has to be shed because these people will not give up their loot. easily. They are parasites. And they only maintain their power by bribing others. They know that. And when I say these people, I'm referring to the political class, Kenyan political class, who happen to be colonial stooges. Both the people in power and both the people who are claiming to be in the opposition. All the arms of government, whether they are governors, MCAs, National Assembly, Senate, these are all rubbish people. We need to have a clean slate. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Kenyan Revolutionary. Kenyan Revolutionary. And I will talk to you guys later. I have no more words.